Okay, let's jump right in. That sound, you know it. That's the grimdark future calling.
Absolutely unmistakable.
And today we are doing more than just visiting. We're plunging headfirst into Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2.
A game with a lot of hype behind it.
Immense anticipation. Yeah, over a decade since the first one. And look, you've given us a great stack of sources, Reddit reviews, the official roadmaps, those very spirited community chats.
Yeah, there's plenty to dig into there, lots of opinions flying around.
So our mission today for this deep dive is really to pull out the crucial bits. What did players love? What fell flat? And maybe most importantly, how are the developers responding now?
Right, charting that journey from launch to what's coming next.
Exactly. We want to give you that full picture, the feedback, the future plans. But before we really get into the nitty-gritty, it's worth saying a lot of fans went into Space Marine 2 with some serious rose-colored glasses on.
Oh, definitely. People were hungry for a modern, epic Astartes game. And that initial excitement really shaped how people saw it early on.
Yeah. It created a sort of initial positive wave, didn't it? You could see it in some of the early takes.
And that hunger for a proper, badass super soldier setting was palpable. It definitely skewed things a bit at the start.
Okay, so let's unpack that initial experience. First up, the vibe. I mean, this seems almost universally praised. They nailed the 40K setting, didn't they? Especially the Space Marines themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Players kept saying it just captured the essence that masculinity, duty, honor, and plain old justified carnage and wrath against our enemies, as one source put it. You really felt like an Astartes.
That feeling seems key.
It was huge. Remember, the fan base had been starved for a proper badass super soldier setting for ages. So when this landed,
Wow. And the details mattered too.
oh yeah, people pointed to things like authentic NPC chatter that felt straight out of the lore. The whole atmosphere was just right. Even little things like apparently there was this chaplain's sermon you could witness in-game that people loved.
So if you're into that rich world building, that
Yeah.
immersive sci-fi action, this was a big draw.
A massive draw. It still is, I think. On pure vibe, they kind of hit a home run initially.
Okay, moving on to the mechanics, the actual gameplay. The general take seems to be solid third-person shooter. Comparisons to Gears of War came up a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. People liked the beautiful executions. The weapon variety seemed fun, at least, casually. It felt pretty good to pick up and play initially.
So a decent foundation.
Yeah.
But where did the cracks start showing for people who played more seriously?
Ah, right. That's the important question, isn't it? Because, yeah, fine for a quick blast, but once players started digging in or just playing for longer, issues popped up, like the melee system.
Which you think would be central for Space Marines.
Exactly. But people found it too weak, often just inferior to shooting. It apparently did less damage than shooting, while, putting you right in the line of fire.
So more risk, less reward.
Pretty much. And it didn't even give you proper health back, just a tad of armor and contested health, which is like this temporary buffer that vanishes fast. So people just ended up hanging back and shooting more often.
Kind of defeats the purpose of being a charging Space Marine, right? Did the guns have issues too?
It did, yeah. Weapon balance was described as all over the place. Some guns, like the Melta or a leveled-up grenade launcher, were just obviously overpowered.
And the iconic bolter.
Felt awful to use after a bit, apparently. Plus, the PvE progression kind of pushed you to stick with a single gun type just to make it effective.
And the enemies, those massive Tyranid swarms we saw.
Well, about that. The enemies, especially the Chaos ones, got called repetitive as hell after maybe 10 hours or so, often just bullet sponges with really limited behaviors.
Yeah.
Not very dynamic.
And there was something about health regen that broke the fantasy for people.
Yeah, that was a big one. The fact that your Space Marine, this, pinnacle of genetic engineering, didn't regenerate health naturally, like in the lore. It forced you to hide back to shoot during the campaign, really undermining that super soldier feeling.
Less unstoppable warrior, more standard cover shooter guy.
Exactly. And that swarm technology, the promise of massive enemy waves, often it was more like, 20 actually interactive enemies on screen.
Yeah.
The rest were just sort of set dressing.
Yeah.
Graphical duds, as one player put it. Felt a bit misleading to some.
I also heard about some weird campaign moments, ways to kind of cheese big fights.
Yeah, there were these epic hold the area scenes that apparently you could just bypass. Or rush a specific spot to melt a boss and cut enemy spawns by 80%. Not exactly the intended epic stand,
Doesn't sound like it.
Plus, the PvP rules and balance being different from PvE in the campaign.
Yeah.
It just added this layer of inconsistency. made balancing 3x the work for the devs, some argued.
Okay, so mechanics had some issues, but here's where things seem to get really critical. The content. One review literally said, it starts to really fall short here, feeling like a beta version game at full price. Ouch!
Yeah, that's a strong statement, but it reflects a real sentiment. The content shortcomings were specific. The campaign,
Yeah.
people liked the atmosphere, voice acting, dialogue gave it a solid 18/10 for that stuff. But it was also short and extremely linear with those repetitive enemies we mentioned, and the PvE operations mode, criticized for having so few missions.
And the grind was bad.
Became very tedious, apparently.
Yeah.
Leveling characters and guns required a lot of repetition with very little variety.
Yeah.
It got so bad, players found they were actually rewarded for not shooting or playing, just running past fights for quick XP.
Wow, okay, running past enemies to level up in a Space Marine game, that's
Oh.
something. And PvP.
Even less content there. Even less maps and game experiences. Plus these weird constraints on classes and cosmetics. Like, you had to be a specific chaos type, a raptor, to use a jump pack. And you couldn't
Yeah.
always play your main leveled character because of faction slots. Just felt like there was no player choice and customization sometimes.
And technical problems on top of that.
Yep, reinforcing that beta feel.
Yeah.
Way too long, loading times, crashes, server issues, even popping up mid-campaign. Console players especially reported very serious problems. Frame drops, lag, no button remapping at launch.
So all this led to predictions of a player drop-off. Like, what happened with Halo Infinite?
Exactly, that comparison was made. Fans loved the core idea, the vibe, but felt the content was extremely lacking. People predicted a huge drop-off in player count and replayability pretty quickly.
Which brings us back to the price. That $70 tag must have felt steep then.
Precisely. Loads of comments saying it felt overpriced for what you got. Maybe $30, $40 would have felt fairer. It boiled down to that crucial question, is it worth the money in this economy? And for many, at launch, the answer was a definite maybe, leaning towards no without more stuff added.
It really sounds like the game just sparked massive debate. Some players super critical, clunky, repetitive, others fiercely defending it solid, enjoyable, even the most fun I've had in years.
That division was stark. And it definitely highlighted those rose-tinted glasses again. If you just loved 40K, maybe you forgave more. Criticisms often got big backlash from the die-hard fans.
Right.
And there was also this whole discussion around the game's identity. Was it just an old-school men tearing stuff to bits power fantasy? That phrase itself caused a stir, touching on wider cultural debates in gaming. We should note that, just report on the discussion itself, not take a stance. But it shows how the game's framing resonated differently.
And this is a big but. The story doesn't end there, does it?
Yeah.
It seems the developers have been listening. They're rolling out a big response.
Exactly. Here's where it gets really interesting. As the game nears its first anniversary, they've unveiled this Year 2 roadmap. It kicks off with Patch 10, the anniversary update, on September 4th.
And it promises consistent updates all the way through mid-2026. That sounds like a serious commitment.
It really does. The plan is clearly to turn this into a content-rich experience. They're talking 6 major updates, missions, modes, weapons, cosmetics. They're saying they're refining the game, aiming for hundreds of hours of content. It's a direct answer to those launch complaints. A proper live service evolution.
Okay, let's break down Patch 10 then, the anniversary update landing September 4th, 2025. What free stuff are players getting right away?
Quite a bit, actually. There's a mind-bending new PvE mission, a new PvE mode called Stratagems, basically modifiers for operations to add variety, with unlockable cosmetics as rewards.
Okay, adding replayability.
Seems to be the goal. Then there's a new PvP mode, Hellbrute Onslaught. It sounds wild. One player plays as a Hellbrute, everyone else teams up against them.
Huh? Asymmetric PvP. Could be fun. New enemies too.
Yep, a new Majora's enemy, which is like a big elite, the Chaos Spawn, described as a giant monster. And they've already confirmed another one, the Mutalith Vortex Beast, is coming later. This is important for shaking up those Chaos encounters, especially for the Assault class.
Addressing specific class issues. What about weapons?
Initial additions include the Pyroblaster, Pyrocannon, and Combi Melta, more firepower options, but the big focus seems to be on the Assault class itself.
They're getting buffs. Finally.
Significant buffs. Multiple buffs, actually. Reworked perks like Winged Fury for more dash melee damage, and Hammer of Wrath for damage reduction and stun lock immunity after using the jump pack.
That sounds crucial.
It is. And they're increasing ground pound damage for chain swords and power swords to match the heavier weapons. Plus, adding anti-stun lock heavy hit diminishing features. Basically, you can't get stun locked repeatedly as easily. And adding invulnerability during the ground pound landing animation. Huge quality of life stuff.
And they acknowledged why Assault struggled against Chaos.
They did. They specifically said the Chaos Army composition, too many arranged guys, not enough melee for Assault to chew through was the problem, and they plan to adjust that too. It shows they're analyzing the why.
That level of detail is good. What about the general melee weapon overhaul?
Right, they're making clearer distinctions. Balanced weapons have moderate speed and damage. Fencing weapons are fastest but weakest. Block weapons are slowest but hit hardest.
How's that landing with players?
Mixed reactions, honestly. Some are worried the speed reduction makes block weapons SO dead, potentially unusable in faster-paced fights. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Any cosmetic updates in the free patch?
A couple of nice touches. A fix so you can put decals under knee pad geometry. Again, small but appreciated. A free Chaos Armor pack so you can dress up like the enemy. And champion skin customization, letting you mix and match armor parts from different champion skins with some limits. That was apparently much requested.
Okay, so that's the free stuff. What about paid cosmetics in Season Pass 2?
Season Pass 2 kicks off with a Black Templar's champion pack, a skin for the Bulwark class, and a Power Sword skin. Then an Imperial Fist cosmetic pack with over 40 items celebrating them and their successor chapters.
More chapter love coming too.
Definitely. They've confirmed future packs for Salamanders, Iron Hands, Carcharodons, Raptors, Blood Angels, and one currently redacted chapter.
Ooh, mystery chapter. Any speculation?
Loads. People are guessing Blood Ravens may be teasing a Dawn of War 4 crossover, or Grey Knights, or Death Watch. Could be anything, really.
Okay, looking beyond patch 10 now into late 2025 and mid-2026, what's the big picture vision? Any major game changers?
The biggest one is probably the new playable class, the Tech Marine, coming Q1 2026.
Ah, the Tech Marine. Highly anticipated, right?
Massively. Described as artificers of the Onasaya who tweak and use all kinds of xeno-weapons and machinery.
Yeah.
Could introduce totally new gear, maybe even stuff other classes can use.
That sounds cool. What else is planned content-wise?
4 new operations, mixing Tyranid and Chaos enemies. 3 new Eternal War PvP maps. A new Siege map coming Q2 2026. More weapons confirmed later, like the Power Axe and Xenophase Blade. And that other new big Chaos enemy, the Mutilith Vortex Beast.
They're also updating progression and the hub.
Yeah, a progression update alongside the Iron Hands pack in Q1 2026 and a Battle Barge expansion around the same time, aiming to add more customization and social features to that hub area, making it feel more like a proper base maybe.
It really does sound like they're trying to be open about the plan, explaining the why behind changes, like with the Assault class.
And the community seems to appreciate that transparency.
Okay.
Directly saying, yeah, the Chaos Army mix was hurting Assault, here's how we're fixing it. That goes a long way after those initial frustrations.
So what does this all mean then? We have this big roadmap, lots of planned fixes and content, but what are players still talking about? What hasn't been fully addressed, or what new concerns are popping up?
Well, you still hear the argument about pacing. The feeling that a lot of the stuff should have been in the game on launch. Is this drip feed of updates, even if consistent, too little, too late for people who already left? That's a big debate.
Fair enough. What about the Assault class now? Buffs are coming, but are people happy?
Mostly, yeah. But some still feel the core jump pack success in PvE operations. They talk about clunky movement on uneven ground, hitting invisible walls, being too vulnerable midair. Some really want the smoother jump pack mechanics from the campaign used everywhere.
And those melee weapon changes, still causing friction.
Yeah, that rebalance, especially slowing down the block weapons. Some players are really not happy, thinking it makes them almost unusable competitively. That's a hot topic.
What about replayability and rewards? Is Siege mode worth sticking with?
People are still asking for way better rewards in Siege to make it worthwhile staying for later waves, especially because disconnects can still happen and wipe your progress. Needs more incentive.
And technically, are things smooth now, especially on consoles?
Still hearing reports, particularly from PS5 players, about ongoing frame drops and lag, even after patches. So performance isn't perfect everywhere yet.
Any other lingering wishes? Features people hoped for but aren't seeing yet?
Well, there's the mystery of the data-mined Assault Bolter that never appeared. People would love more dynamic maps, dynamic weather, day-night cycles. Some even dream of, like Helldivers 2 style open missions or orbital strikes, though obviously fitting into 40K lore is tricky.
And community stuff.
Generally, people like the developer communication, but wouldn't mind more frequent XP events to help ease the grind that's still there. It's always that balance in a live service game, right?
Right.
Keeping everyone happy.
Okay, so let's try and sum this up. Space Marine 2 lands, nails a 40K theme, big win on the vibe front, but faces pretty heavy criticism for gameplay depth, especially melee, and just not having enough content at launch. Felt unfinished to many.
Right? It undermined that core power fantasy for a lot of players. But now, this year two roadmap, starting with the anniversary update, looks like a serious, dedicated effort to fix things. New modes, a new class coming, big balance changes, directly addressing feedback.
It really feels like a case study in modern game development, doesn't it? That whole dance between the initial hype, what players actually expect, and then this ongoing delivery in a live service model.
It absolutely is. The shift to constant updates, more cosmetics, tweaking gameplay based on feedback, it's a direct response. Even if, some debates continue and players always want more refinement.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. We see this a lot now, right? Big games launching, feeling maybe like evolving betas, building out content over months, even years. So think about this. What does that mean long term for player loyalty? And how do we even define a complete game anymore?
Yeah, are you really getting your money's worth eventually, over time? Or are we all just sort of caught in this cycle, always waiting for that next update to finally make the game what we hoped it would be at launch, something to chew on?